There is a dish in the sink. It has been there for 11 days. Not because you forgot about it, you notice it every time you walk into the kitchen. You look at it, then look away. And most people would see that dish and think the same thing. Lazy. But psychology keeps running into a much stranger reality. Some of the most mentally exhausted people alive live in the messiest rooms. Not because they do not care, but because when the nervous system stays overwhelmed long enough, even tiny acts of maintenance can begin to feel strangely heavy. So the dish stays there, not as proof that someone is lazy, as proof that something invisible has been consuming energy for a very long time. And once you understand that, clutter starts looking different, because the mess is rarely just mess. Usually it is delayed decisions, accumulated fatigue, avoided emotions, a nervous system slowly falling behind faster than life keeps arriving. The strange thing about cleaning is that healthy people barely experience it consciously. They just do it. The mug gets washed, the shirt gets folded, the receipt gets thrown away, but for overloaded minds, every small object quietly becomes a question. Where does this go? Should I keep this? What if I need it later? Do I deal with this now or later? And individually, those questions sound harmless, but by the end of the day, the brain is carrying hundreds of them. Psychologists call part of this executive dysfunction. But from the inside, it rarely feels dramatic enough to deserve a clinical name. It feels more like standing in front of something simple and feeling your mind refuse to generate movement toward it. Not sadness exactly, not even laziness. More like friction, like the distance between thinking and doing has somehow become physically larger. And this is the part most people misunderstand. Lazy people enjoy avoiding effort. Overwhelmed people suffer while avoiding it. That is why clutter becomes emotionally exhausting, because after a while, the objects stop feeling neutral. The laundry pile starts feeling connected to every unanswered email. The unopened package starts feeling connected to every unfinished goal. The dishes start feeling connected to every part of life that quietly drifted out of control while you were trying to survive other things. Eventually, the room stops looking messy. It starts looking accusing. See, researchers studying cluttered homes found that people living in chronically disorganized environments often showed elevated cortisol levels throughout the day. Their bodies were reacting to the home itself as a stress signal, which creates a brutal cycle. The room stresses you, so you avoid the room. Avoidance makes the room worse. The worsening room creates more stress. And after enough repetition, some people stop feeling fully at rest inside their own homes. They move around objects the way anxious people move through difficult conversations, carefully, avoidantly, trying not to trigger the emotional weight attached to ordinary things. Because the sink is never really the sink. It is the feeling of being behind. And people underestimate how dangerous shame becomes once it attaches itself to ordinary daily life. After enough guilt, even small tasks begin to feel emotionally loaded. The floor feels loaded. The closet feels loaded. Opening the washing machine feels loaded. Not because the tasks are objectively difficult, but because the nervous system has started associating them with failure. This is also why being told to just clean often backfires. There is a psychological response called reactance. When people feel judged, pressured, or emotionally cornered, the nervous system instinctively resists, even against things they genuinely want. So, the shame becomes the second mess, and sometimes the heavier one. Then there is the part almost nobody talks about. Clutter is not only physical, it is emotional hesitation taking physical form. The cable from a device you no longer own. The shirt you might wear again someday. The birthday card from someone who no longer exists in your life the same way. Every object becomes a tiny, unfinished decision. An exhausted mind struggles with unfinished decisions because unfinished decisions consume background energy. But beneath this, there is often something even older. Children raised in unpredictable environments frequently become adults who struggle with task completion, not because they are incapable, but because their nervous system learned early that effort did not always lead to safety, reward, or relief. So the brain stops fully trusting completion. It learns to delay instead, to hover, to leave things half-finished, half-open, because unfinished things still contain possibility. Nothing has been fully lost yet. And suddenly, the clutter starts making emotional sense. Not logical sense, emotional sense. Which is why tiny acts of cleaning can feel weirdly emotional sometimes, not because the object mattered, but because completing something restores a small amount of trust between you and your own nervous system. Behavioral psychology keeps finding the same pattern over and over again. Action usually comes before motivation, not after. People wait to feel motivated to clean, but motivation is often what arrives after movement begins, which means the way out is usually much smaller than people think, not a complete life reset. Not transforming the entire apartment overnight, just one completed action. One dish washed slowly, one shirt folded, one surface cleared intentionally. Because every completed action sends a quiet message through the nervous system. I can still affect my environment. I can still finish something. I am not completely stuck. And maybe that is what people misunderstand most about messy rooms. Sometimes they are not signs that somebody stopped caring. Sometimes they are signs that somebody has been caring for too long without enough recovery. So tonight, when you look at the chair covered in clothes or the unopened mail or the dish that has been sitting there for 11 days, try not to immediately see failure. Try to see invisible exhaustion. Try to see all the energy human beings spend surviving things nobody else can see from the outside. Because some people clean their homes every night because order makes them feel safe. And others leave dishes in the sink because survival used all their energy before the day even ended. Neither story is laziness. They are different nervous systems adapting to different kinds of pain. And some of the kindest people you will ever meet secretly live inside rooms they are deeply ashamed of. Not because they do not care, but because they have been carrying invisible weight for so long that ordinary tasks started feeling heavy too. If this felt painfully familiar, consider subscribing for more explorations into the hidden psychology behind ordinary behaviors. And if one sentence stayed with you tonight, leave it in the comments. Someone else is probably reading it at 2 a.m. while staring at their own unfinished dish.